You speak of friendship, of loyalty, of pure eternal bonds. Poor creatures, you continue to intoxicate yourselves with moral fairy tales while the world turns driven by naked interests. Genuine, selfless, unconditional friendship, almost always, an illusion of fragile souls who prefer comforting lies to brutal truth. What you call friendship is, in many cases, nothing more than a strategic dance of convenience, temporary alliances in which each seeks, consciously or not, what can be extracted from the other, and when the interest evaporates, the affection vanishes along with it. Such is the way. Such has it always been. If these words already disturb you, run away. This video is not made for romantics of feeble spirit, but if you can bear to hear what few endure, like this video and stay with me, because here I do not offer consolation, I offer lucidity. Understand, the human being is an animal of desire, of ambition, of need. Even the sweetest of gestures often hides an invisible coin of exchange. Bourgeois morality has trained you to feign purity. I, Nietzsche, tear off the masks and expose the grotesque theater in which everyone performs, willingly or unwillingly. Look closely at your own circles. How many of your friendships would endure if suddenly you lost status, money, power, utility? Most bonds hold together as long as there is something to be gained or shared. Remove the gain. Only emptiness remains. You call this betrayal when, in fact, it is merely the breaking of an unwritten contract that has always sustained the relationship. You were not betrayed. You were naive. You failed to realize that almost every human affection carries, hidden, a calculation. But do not think this is malice. No, this is human nature in its rawest form. Manipulation is not the exception. It is the silent rule of coexistence. From childhood, we learn to get what we want with smiles, compliments, small concessions. Even the act of saying, "I love you," often carries deep down the plea, "Do not abandon me, continue to serve me." We are all, as I have said, artists of dissimulation. Whoever denies this art simply fails to perceive the stage on which they act. You speak of pure love, but what exists in most cases is only a well-rehearsed power-balancing play. Human ties are not sustained by ethereal ideals, but by subterranean forces. Who dominates, who needs, who yields, who demands. Even groups of friends are microcosms of hidden hierarchies. Observe who dictates the rules, whom everyone listens to, whom everyone fears to contradict. There lies the true axis of the relationship, power camouflaged as affection. If one's power runs out, the other's interest disappears. Here is the unspoken rule. You experience it in silence when, after a fall in life, you notice invitations vanish, phone calls cease, cherished faces evaporate. Friendship, you say, should be unconditional. But the unconditional, in human reality, is a luxury reserved for gods, not for mortals. You confuse desire with reality, and you pay the price in bitter disappointments. Loyalty. Another comforting myth. Loyalty exists, yes, but only as long as it remains comfortable, as long as the price to pay is not too high. The moment fidelity demands real sacrifice, many withdraw, many distance themselves, many betray. You call it disappointment, but I tell you, it was only the true face revealing itself when the mask no longer served. Few are capable of staying loyal in the face of ruin, loss, danger, and those few are almost always either fools or exceptional. And the cruelest truth, even kindness, this so celebrated virtue, is often a cold calculation. Offering help, doing favors, being kind, all of this can be an emotional investment, buying sympathy, influence, future advantages. Absolute purity of kindness is rare, almost mythical. Most display skilled diplomacy, but do not misunderstand me. I am not condemning, I am exposing. Seeing strategy in kindness does not necessarily make it vile, only real. And before you cast yourselves into the comforting role of victims, listen, you also play this game. You are not innocent. You participate in these dynamics daily, often without even realizing it. You choose friends who bring you advantages, maintain relationships that guarantee you emotional comfort, admire those from whom you can extract something. Self-deception is sweet. You paint yourselves as pure while delicately manipulating your small networks of influence. Each of you is, in your own way, a survival strategist. Accepting this is not losing humanity. It is gaining it fully. Only those who recognize their own strategic nature can choose with lucidity when to act out of interest and when to transcend their own instincts. True freedom does not lie in denying the game, but in mastering it. The fool denies his own thirst for power. The lucid one understands it and governs it. Modern morality, with its hypocritical dogmas, keeps you infantilized. I invite you to a brutal maturity, and do not think that blood frees you from these chains. Family, that supposed refuge of unconditional love, is also a stage of the same interest-driven theater. Inheritances, status, prestige, approval. How many family relationships are truly devoid of calculation? Under the veneer of Sunday gatherings, envy, competition, poisoned resentment often hide. Siblings smile while silently disputing the symbolic throne of the household. Parents exchange affection for obedience. Children sell submission for protection. The family tragedy is the oldest of all. Freud, Jung, I myself, all of us have contemplated this battlefield disguised as home. The thirst for belonging, fear of abandonment, and desire for recognition turn the home into a stage where every gesture carries a hidden strategy. But few have the courage to see what happens beneath the dinner tablecloth. They prefer the comfort of illusion to facing the abyss of truth. And it is precisely this illusion, this puerile hope for purity in relationships, that destroys you when it collapses. The suffering does not come from loss itself, but from the destruction of the fantasy you nurtured. You suffer because you believed, because you needed to believe. The narcissistic wound of discovering that you were pieces in a game of interests is more painful than the abandonment itself. What collapses is not the bond. It is the myth of unconditional friendship you fed like a child's dream. You confuse your pain with betrayal, but often the pain is born of your own naivety. You preferred to imagine a world of angels when you were surrounded by men. The lucid adult, however, abandons this craving for purity. He understands the mechanics of the game and, precisely for that reason, does not despair when the masks fall. He smiles, not out of cynicism, but out of maturity, because he no longer expects from others what nature itself does not offer: perfection. Here resides, finally, the only true power: consciousness. The brutal clarity about the nature of human relationships frees whoever dares to see them. He who sees with lucidity suffers less, for he no longer deceives himself with sentimental promises. He sees the game as it is and plays when necessary, but does not enslave himself to false expectations. Consciousness transforms the naive into a strategist, and the strategist is not insensitive. He is sovereign over himself. Whoever has a why to live can bear almost anyhow, I told you. And your why in the field of relationships must be lucidity. Clarity protects you from rancor, resentment, humiliation. Because the lucid one does not fall from the tower of dreams. He has already built his home on the firm ground of reality. He does not hate whoever abandons him. He does not despair in the face of betrayal, for he already knew that affection is fragile when interests evaporate. His strength lies in accepting the real, not in fleeing from it. Therefore, do not come to ask me for formulas for perfect relationships. They do not exist. What exists is the cold, honest understanding of human imperfection. The sooner you accept this truth, the less you will writhe in childish pains. You were not betrayed by the other. You were betrayed by your own illusion. Free yourselves from it. See the game, master the game, not to exploit others, but so that you are no longer enslaved by your own needs. If you are still here, listening to these words, it is because you already carry within you this seed of lucidity. Like this video now. Subscribe to this channel, but know, here I do not offer consolation, only the raw blade of reality. If you cannot endure it, return to the flock, where lies are warm and sweet. But if you are ready for brutal freedom, stay, because only the strong face the truth without anesthesia. I am Nietzsche, and here we forge the vision that few can withstand.